Well, good morning, everyone. Here we are with our disco grandma, and we're just, getting into the flow of things this morning. Carly, you can pop on as well, and Carly's going to lead us this morning with a call to worship. Oh, and I better turn off my ear, otherwise, there we are. I'm going to be very confused, and I'm going to be in three worlds at once, which is not bad for a Welshman. So, Carly, I'll hand over to you and say good morning. How are you doing?
I'm well. Got my coffee.
And what part of the city are you in Calgary?
I am in Rosemont. Anytime I say that, people are like, "Where is that?"
Or do
Um,
they go, oh, Rosemont?
yes, it's very exclusive.
Very exclusive, yes.
It is by Confederation Park. So if you've ever been to a Confederation Park event with the church, or you are near, it's like northwest of Peters
Yeah,
Drive in one.
on 16th, the
Yeah,
landmark of Calgary. Yeah,
north of State, right around there. So kind of central. Love it.
most excellent. Well, I'll bow out the way, and you can lead us in song for this opening moment.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm introducing a new song today. I'm really excited. I think it's my song of the year. And I just really hope you'll love it. I always think about Joyce talking about how we just need more of Jesus, and that needs to be our central theme and our focus as we move forward. And this song is all about that. It's called Give Me Jesus. So feel free to just listen to the words, or if you know it, you can join in this song together. You'll have to bear with my piano, it's a little crunchy. I don't want anything but you. You're more than every dream come true. All of the things I thought I wanted don't come close to knowing you. Now that I'm yours and you are mine, our love is the secret that I find. I'll spend forever in the pleasure I've found looking in your eyes. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. You can have all this world. More than silver, more than gold. You are the treasure that I hold. Now that I've tasted of your goodness, nothing else will satisfy. Give me Jesus. I don't want anyone else. I don't need anything else. You are my one thing. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. You can have all this world. Amen.
Hi, Epic Church. I want to give you a big warm welcome to church this Sunday. My name is Ashton McKenzie, and I have been attending Epic since 2020, I believe. And I really love being here. I especially love my community group and the connections that I've made, and just the authenticity of Epic and community group, and being able to share and pray for one another is great. So welcome to church, everyone.
Oh, thank you, Ashton, and thank you, Carly. Carly will be back with us in a moment. So welcome from the hub here in Calgary at Centre Street, and where are we, 20th? Yes, there you go. And here we are in the room. I'm just going to pan around, and here's Eric, who's running our production this morning. If it were not for him, then none of this would be happening. So this morning, we're going to have a little bit of a different format. It's kind of trying to bring to mind how we would have the feast once a month. We were gathered together in days of old. Remember those, where we would gather together and have a big old brunch together, and then have about a 10 to 15 minute kind of spiritual formation part to our morning. So I'll invite a number of people throughout the morning. We'll have 3 groups of 3 or thereabouts. And here's some questions that we're all going to be looking at. I don't know if, Jazz, you could throw them on the wall, or perhaps I could do them. I'll do them in a minute. I'll read them out for you first of all. Over the last 12 months, what is a memorable moment that has happened to you in person? What is a memorable moment that has happened through being online together? And what are you hoping for in terms of community life over this next season, particularly as the weather begins to open up here in Calgary? Over the last few weeks, there's been, the onslaught of life, if you like, and different things going on. And I've been reminded again and again, or been encouraged to focus on that which actually brings life, rather than trying to combat evil, if you like. Just focus on the good things. That's been kind of some of the thing that's been coming my way. And I've been really impressed, if you like, once again, about where we are in Calgary. We're having the mountains. I've loved being able to see the sun rise, and it doesn't mean I have to get up at the, as I would say, the cracker sparrow start to be able to see that. And I think it was summer this week, and perhaps you're going to comment on something this later on, but I noticed that you're out hitting the sunrises this week, which is very, very encouraging. There's also been other things happening. I don't know if anyone listens to The Debaters, and which is a radio show, CBC, and there's a particular episode that really caught my ear. It was released, I think it was a week Sunday ago. Let's see, January 27th it went on. And in particular were 2 people, Nikki Payne and Jose Peranian. I hope I've said their names right. But you should go and check out The Debaters on there. Both of them have quite significant speech impediments, and yet they work as comedians. And the humor that comes through, their self-deprecation, if you like, moving beyond what should hold them back from really being encouragement to others and being endearing and being comedians, is something that they actually use to great effect in order to kind of better where they are. There's other things happening that have been just in the swirl of life. It's Black History Month this week, and there's been a writer that has come to light through many different forms of media over the last couple of weeks, a writer by the name of Rodden Hayden, I think we've become more aware of him because he passed away January 23rd, I think it was, of this year. And here is one quote from Robert Hayden's writing. He's a poet and a writer. "Art is not escape, but a way of finding order in chaos, a way of confronting life." And my good buddy in Kelowna, Graham Ward, added this to it: "I like it because often when I play music, it feels like an escape. But to think of it also as a way to make sense of the complexity of life also makes a lot of sense. Music is a language without words." So I found through different media, music being one of the things that I'm drawn to in order to experience life, not trying to kind of snuff out evil, if you like, but trying to embody and experience beauty. And so these three questions, I'm going to ask a few folk throughout the morning to come and join me, and we're going to discuss these three questions about memorable moments, those things that the Lord gives us, or just that we find encouragement that is helping us take one more step as we get on with life. So first up this morning, the group will know who they are before I get to who they are. But Steph and Carly, if you want to jump back on, Carly, and join me here in Zoom Central. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Now, Steph, so Carly, you're kind of Central North. Steph, where are you in the city?
I'm in Marda Loop, so almost downtown.
Look at that. We're kind of already got a little trifecta going on. That's awesome. So thank you for joining me this morning. And Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Very good. And let's just jump in with that first question. What is a memorable moment that has happened to you in person over these last 12 months? I'll nominate Steph. You go first.
One of my favorite events we've done this past year was the Epic Youth Amazing Race in June. So it functioned as our summer kickoff, and the preteens were able to join us for those who are going into grade 7 the next year. And it was so much fun and somewhat chaotic, but seeing so many youth there, and then parents and young adults volunteering at different stations, and seeing our leaders interact and have really great connections with the youth and have a family picnic afterwards was one of my favorite things. And I think too, it was one of the first times that we've been all to, or like a larger group together. So to really just feel that palpable sense of joy and laughter, and again to interact and have some form of structure, but really just enjoy one another's company. And I know, like Eric, he was at a station where there's so many random buckets, and you had to fill them up to complete a full bucket. And I remember him having a lot of fun, and he might have gotten wet quite a bit too.
So this full on being in each other's company, producing fun, producing life, and I'm sure that carried you for quite a while, having had that experience together.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I feel like that was one of my primary fun youth events, but throughout the whole pandemic, we've had to be creative and met at various parks and done very random things and got random looks from people, but it's been a great joy.
That's fantastic. And Carly, what would you draw on for this memorable moment?
I was thinking about it yesterday, and there were a couple, but I think one that probably a lot of Epic community would draw on would probably be the camp out. We all trekked out to Fairmont, which is where I grew up going. And so to bring that sense of familiarity, but also to be with people again, was refreshing. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun to be with each other. And there wasn't necessarily an agenda, but I always love, when the women and girls, we all get together and try to do something. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun to be able to step away and be with each other in a very relaxing environment.
Yeah, that's great. It felt like a bit of normal life. Mm-hmm. Just to have kids running around and dogs barking and trying to figure out the day.
Yeah, and I had brought my van along.
Yeah.
I'm just remembering this now.
Your tour bus.
My tour bus, which is a minivan with this year with an air mattress in it. Usually there's like a real bed get up that my dad made, but this is just an air mattress, and it quickly evolved into the Epic camping trip reading nook for all of the tweens and teens. So they had there's twinkle lights in there, and so I shut the door, and then you open the door and you see this crowd of boys and girls sitting on the air mattress just reading their books. And that was super special for me to create. I'm all about creating atmosphere, so that was just, I loved that they were gathering together and reading in the middle of summer outside. So
yeah, it's fantastic, and it was good. Even if they got super loud, you could shut the door in it. It was awesome.
exactly.
Anyway, that was nothing. So in the online world, have either of you had a memorable moment that has kind of evoked some of that you've already talked about?
I mean, you can't really like surpass Beth Ann and Carly being my backup dancers and singers. Those are always going to be super memorable moments, I think, for all of us, and they're recorded. So we should have brought that up at Beth Ann and Dan's wedding, her dancing skills. But yeah, those were always really special moments for us, living together and doing church life together.
It's fantastic.
For your entertainment purposes.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there are in plans. I've been spinning my wheels with trying to figure out how can we do somewhat of a highlight reel, and another dancing comes to mind is Clapstein's high kicking skills.
Oh,
Anyway, so Steph,
a legend.
I was also going to say that brought me great joy. And I felt like, although I was missing a lot of people, to see so many voices on the screen, similar to right now happening for Feast Sunday, it gave me a lot of delight to have somewhat of an interaction, whether it would be coffee and ministry time, to seeing someone lead communion or read the kids' story. And really shout out to Jazz. Like, I am astounded by her creativity, and I loved seeing the kids' stories, and as well as the videos, specifically the Sermon on the Mount. I remember Merlin was like riding up the hill on a toy horse, and Matt was sharing the Sermon on the Mount at the top of the mountain. But yeah, like the creativity that's come from us and being able to share and appreciate one another's gifts, and encounter God in a very different way, was really beautiful, and that stood out to me.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, and it kind of evokes again being right there. It's kind of experiencing that there in real time, as it were. And so as we go into, as the weather's opening up here, we've got the hub here. What are some of the things you might be looking forward to in the next coming months?
I feel like right now I can see into people's rooms or living rooms or the hub. I feel like it's translating from that living room atmosphere, that invitation of hospitality, even right now that we're fostering online, and then to bring that to the hub of there's kind of a living room set up to come and join, to have a cup of coffee, to laugh, to pray, to share with one another. So I'm kind of excited for that environment of, again, that family atmosphere, and welcome to stay and to linger for a while. But I'm really excited for prayer. I've really enjoyed coffee and ministry time, and then Fast Fridays. And for those who joined in the wee hours of the morning on Wednesdays. But I'm excited to really not just occupy that space at the hub, but inhabit it. And then for the Lord to inhabit the praise of his people through worship, or sung worship and prayer, and to pray, walk around the neighborhood and get to know people and really live there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. And for you, Carly?
Yeah, I was thinking like similar things. And I think like I've loved the luxury of getting out of bed at 9:20 and getting ready for 9:45 on the Zoom, or like sitting and eating cinnamon buns and coffee with my roommates. Well, and then like, I've enjoyed that, but it's lost its luster for me. And I actually find it pretty hard to engage online these days. And so I'm really looking forward to the removal, it's a choice to remove your body and from your space of origin, your home, and enter into a place of worship and belonging. And so I think I'm just really ready to be taking those steps and gathering, and walking into a space and being like, I'm choosing to be here intentionally in mind and body and spirit, with others. And it is different. We've talked about that. Joyce has talked about that. Connor's talked about it.
Yeah.
Like I want to hug people. Again, I want to pray with each other in real time, and I want to worship, with everyone. And I daydream about leading worship at Epic, like I'm like, oh yeah, that'll be nice, because I do worship lead other places in the community in Calgary, and it is different. How I lead is different. There's, it's that atmosphere of being together, collective voices, and so I'm just ready for that physical, removal of myself from the home, from a level of comfort where I can kind of disengage whenever, or kind of be half in, where I'm like fully present and, being attentive to what the Spirit is doing, in the community. And I think there's a part of me that feels my selfishness arise in just being here. Like, it's just so much easier. So to be around other people and to physically see them, versus a computer screen, I want to get out of myself more. So
Yeah, it's
And
been good.
welcome.
Even coming here today, driving along John Laurie, coming down my little route to get here, and then coming up the steps into the hub,
oh yeah,
setting up. And it's just this sense of coming to place.
and it's
That, yeah,
Mhm.
and it's coming to worship with the people of God. And we know that God's Spirit is everywhere. He broods amongst us at all times. But sometimes my home doesn't feel like a holy place. And so coming to a physical space, which is, my home is dedicated to the Lord, but this is a community space dedicated to the Lord. And so there's something different about coming to the space. So before we could ramble on and on, we're really just enjoying each other's company. So Carly, why don't you lead us in another song here, and we're going to put the lyrics up and we will sing along with you. Know that we are with you in spirit. If we could all turn our mics on, you would hear us all together, but we won't do that to you.
Delay.
Yeah.
And Carly, I want to say, please bring your cinnamon buns to a coffee
Exactly.
time or Sunday morning gathering in person, whichever. Please bring.
First Sunday, we'll celebratory highlight reel and cinnamon buns.
There we go. It's going to be good. Okay, well, we'll hand it over to Carly. Thanks so much, Steph. And we'll see you the other side.
He sent his son to die and rise again to save us. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. He's broken our chains and given us freedom. Give thanks to God, for He is good. In Him we are alive and have joy everlasting. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. He casts out all fear and fills us with courage. Give thanks to God, for He is good. When storms come and rage, His peace overwhelms us. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. The Lord is our refuge when trouble surrounds us. Give thanks to God, for He's always pouring out His abundant provision. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. For the depths of His riches and incredible wisdom, give thanks to God, for He is good. Give thanks to God, for He is good. Give thanks to God, for He is good. Give thanks to God, for He is good.
Oh, thank you so much, Carly. That's definitely one of my favorite songs of the last, well, it's quite an old one now, I guess, but it's one, it has a call and response part to it. And that's one that I long to hear us singing together in person, where we have someone facilitating and all our gathered voices together. So before I invite the next group on, oh, no, it wasn't product placement, but there was another aspect in media this week. I don't know if anyone caught the Stephen Colbert show with Dua Lipa. And Dua Lipa is launching who's a recording artist, 3-time Grammy Award winner, is a Brit. I think she is
I
the.
definitely saw it, Callum.
What's that? When
I watched the video.
you did, you saw it, yeah.
It's
And
amazing.
I think she is at the minute she is the all-time streaming artist in the world, like the most streamed artist in the world. And she launched her album 10 days after lockdown started, so in 2020. And then a world tour was supposed to ensue, which of course didn't happen. And that's going to be starting next month, I think. But the point of the interview, if you like, is she's launching this concierge service, if you like. It's a podcasting thing that she's doing as well. And so they flipped it round. Stephen Colbert became the interviewee and Dua Lipa became the interviewer and posed this question. What role does faith play in your comedy? And is there a crossover? And it's really just got me thinking through different aspects that we don't need to apologize for the Lord. We don't need to apologize for our relationship with the Lord. We experience the Lord, and what we can experience together is greater than we can experience on our own at times, just in our normal everyday life. And I think where we see ourselves being professional in one way, if you like, and so my role as a pastor, I could be a professional Christian and have that, but my experience is going to be diminished if I have that mindset. It's going to be far more alive if I actually take my professional hat off and try and fulfill the role of being a pastor, but not trying to stamp out evil around me, but try and look for elements of beauty. And so as I invite these next 3 people on, we've got Dan Chong joining us, we've got Summer and Dan and Bethan Zepik to join me here. And we will, again, discuss these 3 questions, have these as our little starting points for our little words here. Oh, and by the way, anyone who's on the call will stay on at the end and we'll do the big Brady Bunch wave just to show all our faces together. So if you've jumped off the call, jump on again at some point. So if I invite those 3 folk to come up, we've got Dan Chong, Summer, and Dan and Bethan. You can come and join me on the screen. Most excellent. Look at this. Here we are. So let's go quickly around. Let's start with Summer. Where are you in the world here?
Far northeast in Livingston.
Our northern outpost up the top there.
Yeah, pretty much Airdrie.
The other side of Stony Trail. I mean, you know, come on now. Dan and Bethan, whereabouts in the world are you?
We're in the Northwest.
Bring it. And Dan, where are you?
Capitol Hill. So it's on the other side of the park to where Carly lives.
And so if I do this and I go like that, you should be able to see me waving, I think.
I can. I'm waving back at you.
Oh, there you go. Nice. So let's start with those questions again. a memorable moment over the last 12 months in person. Dan, I'll nominate you to start us.
Dan?
Oh yes, that Dan. Dan with glasses.
You know, I got, now that summer's on, I have to give a shout out to Summer, because one of the memorable experiences recently is the work bee. I hadn't seen a lot of these epic folks for a long, long time. And the work bee was just not just work. I think it was community. It was getting together with people, and you're talking and chatting and just catching up what's been going on for months. I haven't seen Dan and Beth Ann since they've been married. So it's been a while, you know. But, you know,
So there's a couple of things already. That's amazing. And was that your full answer, or was that you just thinking about an answer?
oh, that was just because I saw Summer on screen.
Yeah, see, that's awesome.
You know, my real answer is we got a cat named Goose. And you know, it's funny because my daughter is at university at McMaster, and she couldn't take care of this cat. It's her cat because she lives in a very small apartment, and you know, she had to rehome the cat, and she was in tears and just wanted not to give up this cat. And we said, all right, we'll take the cat. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into, because my whole life I've been allergic to cats and dogs. So it's a real leap of faith, but we took the cat on, and you know what? It's been a real life-giving cat. And we have our daughter with us in our house vicariously through the cat. And it's added another dynamic to our life here.
That's fantastic. And yeah, a leap of faith for sure from someone else who, you know, struggles with pets and an allergy to children, I think. But so Dan and Beth Ann, let's jump into you and something, you know, has anything happened in the last year?
Not much. I went for groceries a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got married in October, so that was that was significant for sure.
That's
Yeah.
good that you said it first, because now Beth Ann has to come up with something else.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, well, my word for the last year was celebration. And so to actually, as someone who likes to host and throw parties, we got to throw the biggest party that we've ever had in it, like after 2 years of being in a pandemic. So that was pretty memorable to be with our closest people for a couple, like we were able to spend a few days. So I'm not even going to try to come up with a different one.
That's fairly significant. Yeah, so Summer, what's something for you?
Yeah, I think kind of just going off of what Dan with the glasses said first. Just the coming together and just just everyone working together in the new space and kind of creating it to be this atmosphere of just like light and warmth and welcome has been such a joy to be very involved in that. And yeah, just getting to connect with people and see them as we're like, serving the community has been really, really powerful. And then how that has led to probably the highlight for me was the Christmas artisan market that we held. And just, seeing again the community and seeing lots of new faces as well for that event was really, really special. And I think just for me, the things I reflect on is just a feeling of really, really deep joy at that event, and like a deep sense of, just the spirit and the joy that comes with the spirit. And then also just this collective space and act of bringing worship to the Lord just through creativity and different forms of art that so many people in our community produce. And just, I think it was cool to see just the reflection of the gifts, I think, in the body of Christ, just reflected through the creativity of so many in our community, and coming together and sharing that with one another was really, really impactful for me.
Yeah, I love the discovering little nuggets that I didn't know were there, like Kurt Dirksen starting to develop his artistry with wood, if you like, which I didn't know was there. I just thought, you can throw a shelf up, but this is a step on from that. So one of my little memorable moments, actually mentioning Goose, was when Goose led communion. That was a little moment for me, which was in the online world. So let's switch it over to the online world. Let's pick on Dan and Beth Ann. Dan without glasses.
I think that the online community that we've had at Epic, and yeah, like not a specific moment, just like being isolated, for not just like pandemic reasons for myself, but for health reasons as well. That the online church community of Epic has been something that has sustained me so much, and has became my community when I started attending a few weeks before lockdown, and then last year, just like the continuing with recovery and stuff, being sustained by the church, but also that it's not just like a social club, a community group, but that we don't gather just unto ourselves, but first and foremost unto Jesus, and glorifying him and worshiping him, and just like receiving so much from our community, but also that our primary focus is the Lord, and that to worship him, to be made like him, and to be his bride. And I'm thankful that the online experience, that we're not worshiping a two-dimensional Jesus, and that the Holy Spirit isn't like a 21-inch, pixelated,
or a green dot that we have to
green dot, and like the Lord doesn't buffer. So I'm just thankful for that, that I'm so longing to meet in person again, but that our online community, like it's not a substitution for church, it is church. And it's not like pretending to be church until we are church again.
Right. Yeah, it's a different form, but we are still the church. Before jumping to you, Beth Ann, I'll come to you last, but let's jump over to Summer.
I think similar to Dan, just a highlight for me would be actually ministry time, especially last spring. Coffee ministry time, I feel like really was impactful for a lot of us. And I really felt, for me personally, it was a season of growth in hearing from the Holy Spirit, and hearing for other people, and just taking risks with that. And then, just seeing that also in others. And so ministry time, especially last spring, I noticed, just a big increase in us, like really, I think growing our spiritual muscles and listening on behalf of each other, and just spending a lot of time sharing pictures and praying with one another. So that definitely was a highlight. And I can just see the fruits of that continuing to flow out, even just in this season right now.
And Dan, for you, Dan with glasses.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think we all crave to meet together in person. But one thing that has happened online, and I was a skeptic of this, was we are able to pray for each other, and also through email. That's another online version. And this is primarily our small group. I didn't think we would have community over online. I didn't think we'd have it over Zoom, but we were able to do it. And it's that, famous passage from Hebrews 10:25, that we should not give up meeting together. We have to encourage each other on. And I think if somebody wanted to paraphrase that for a pandemic version, it says that it's okay to meet online. It's okay to pray for each other online. It's okay to encourage each other online. So that's been really life-giving. No matter how tired I am through the day, when we meet with our small group, it's an online fellowship.
Yeah, it's been none of us knew we were going to have this experience, and so to find life coming through it has been the greatest surprise for me. When you just think it's an inanimate object, and yet life can come through it. So Beth Ann, is there anything you would like to add before your husband wheeled some song at us?
I just have a favorite memory of driving to Esther and Andrew's wedding. We were going to go crash it, and we got to attend coffee time and church and ministry time on our drive to Lethbridge that morning. And everyone was celebrating with us virtually that we were where we were going. But then we were also able to, as we're driving there, pray for India and pray for Andy Wilson's boss, and carry this tension of celebration what we were headed to, but also like what the world was experiencing and illness as well. So it was just a cool virtual thing that would not have happened any other time except during this pandemic. So that
Right.
was just a memory that came to mind the other day.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, remember being somewhere. I was on the road somewhere and having a similar experience of feeling connected to my home community, even though I was somewhere else. And I remember having the phone just up on the dash, and the sound coming through the car, and feeling somewhat connected still. It was amazing. It was a more interactive podcast experience, but it was happening right then. It was like, this is kind of cool. Never get to do this before. And so Dan, priming the pump there. Are you not staying, Bethan? Are you not doing some dancing? No, is that?
Just gonna move over.
You're scooting out the way. And I've asked Dan to bring a song that he's that comes to mind as he's going through this morning. Again, weird for a musician to be playing to a green dot, but we're all here with you. We'll just be off camera. And then after this, I realize I've blown through the whole schedule. So we'll tee up our Epic Kids video after this, and that'll be followed by communion. And then I'll pick it up again after that. So Daniel-san, Without Glasses, over to you.
I stand before you, awed by your majesty, covered by your mercy. Your blood has made me free. Draw me to you and set my heart on fire. I wanna know you. You're my one desire. Give you my worship, all of my passion. Give you my whole heart, all my devotion. I stand before you, awed by your majesty, covered by your mercy. Your blood has made me free. Draw me to you and set my heart on fire. I wanna know you. You're my one desire. Give you my worship, all of my passion. Give you my whole heart, all my devotion. Grace never ending, your hands they carried me. Your body it is broken for all the world to see. My heart is held by a love so unconditional. you my worship, all of my passion. I give you my whole heart, all my devotion. Here I will bow down, say that I need you. Here I will worship, say that I love you. Oh, how 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 I love I wanna know you. Let your spirit overwhelm me. Let your presence overtake my heart. I wanna know you. Let your spirit overwhelm me. Let your presence overtake my heart. I wanna know you. Let your spirit overwhelm me. Let your presence overtake my heart. I wanna know you. Let your spirit overwhelm me. Let your presence overtake my heart. Give you my worship, all of my passion. Give you my whole heart, all my devotion. Here I will bow down, say that I need you. Here I will worship, say that I love you. Oh, how I love you. Oh, how I love you.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. My name's Matt. Welcome to the party. I'm so glad you got your invite. Ah, man, I just love a good feast. Don't you guys just love food? Why don't you throw your favorite food up on the chat wall? When I think about feasting, I just think about a story that Jesus told us one time. You mind if I tell it to you guys? Let's dive in. It's called The Big Dinner Party, and it's from Luke 14:15-24. One day, Jesus went for dinner at the house of a very religious family. Everyone was talking about the time when God's kingdom would arrive on earth. They imagined it would be like a huge party for people just like them. Jesus smiled. "Let me tell you a story I know," he said. A rich man decided to throw a big party for his friends. When all the delicious food was ready, he sent out his servant to invite the guests, but they all started making excuses. "Sorry," said one, "I just bought a field and I must go and see it." "I need to check my new cows," said the next. On and on the excuses went. "I've just gotten married. I'm too busy." Until at last the servant gave up and went home to tell his master. The rich man was furious. "Go into town, invite the poor, the blind, and the sick," he cried. The servant did as he was asked, but there was still room for more guests. So the master said to him, "Go out onto the roads and country lanes and bring in even more people. My house will be full of the poor and the outsiders, people who others think are not important. I tell you, not one of those who were invited and made an excuse will be able to taste my wonderful feast." When Jesus had finished his story, the guests were silent. They realized that God welcomes everyone into his kingdom. It's not important who you are, only that you accept his invitation. So thanks for accepting the invitation. I know it's always open. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for Matt. Welcome to the party, Gertson. But Dan, thank you so much for bringing that song to us to create that space. Eric and I looked at each other when you kind of rolled the video at the end of that, and it's like, that was a transition. And had I kept to my notes, we would have had the kids' video earlier. So I just love that sense of space that you were able to create for us there, Dan. And you as well, Beth Ann. I think being in the room together there to bring your worship. I think actually we'll do another change and we'll do communion towards the end of our time together. So for now, what I want to do is we'll get into group 3, I think, trying to keep to my notes. And I realize we haven't said any scripture yet, but there'll be some scripture coming in a moment. But I want to, first of all, go back to someone who's been highlighted already, Robert Hayden. On another friend had commented, having read Graham Ord's quote about how art is not escape, but a way of finding order in chaos, a way of confronting life, which was Robert Hayden. And this was added by friend Monique Toot. Again, quoting Robert Hayden, "We must not be frightened nor cajoled into accepting evil as deliverance from evil. We must go on struggling to be human, though monsters of abstraction police and threaten us." And of course, Robert Hayden is writing particularly to do with Black history. Black History Month is upon us, and I think that is why, one of the reasons why these truths, if you like, are being revealed to us. But how that gets written up, if you like, Paul was writing about this a few years ago. Romans 8:28, this is the New International Version. "And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." And so as I think back to Bezalel and Oholiab, the first artisans that were filled with the Spirit to create a space of worship for the Lord, they weren't focusing on the negative things. They weren't focusing on the evil things. They were creating pieces of beauty. And so again, we'll ask our last group here to be thinking about these 3 questions. So if I can invite Barb and Floyd, Hillary, and Derek to come join me on the Zoom call. And we'll open up the discussion again with these 3 questions. Thank you so much for joining us here. And as Barb and Floyd join us, Hillary, let's start with you if you like. Do you want to be first, or should we wait for Barb and Floyd?
I'll go first.
Go for it. Again, it's always really good to hear a proper accent, so thank you for being with me.
So I live in Park Hill, which if Marda Loop is downtown, Park Hill's downtown. It's just south of downtown towards Chinook. And my favourite moment last summer was actually a concert I got to go to in Olympic Plaza, which was fantastic. And it was the same reasons as my other 2, which was my birthday was on a Sunday in August. and it happened to get mentioned on, during the service on Sunday morning. So when I arrived in, Stanley Park, I guess we were in Stanley Park that Sunday for a picnic. Everybody sang happy birthday to me. It was like embarrassing and fun at the same time. Nobody sang happy birthday to me for years. That was fun. But then also looking at Dan and Beth Ann on their mantelpiece, they've got a picture which reminded me that quite a special time for me was St. Patrick's Island, which I think was Palm Sunday.
Mhm.
We did like a walk through, and I think the picture they have is by the same artist. And
Yeah,
that was
that's
the
Scott
first
Erickson,
time I
Scott the
got to
painter.
know. Yeah, it was the first time I got to meet quite a few of the Epic people in person. So those were special moments for me last year.
Yeah, and I think we'll be planning to do that again. The Stations of the Cross walk throughout St. Patrick's Island. It's St. Patrick's Island. You have to talk about it like that in a very bad Irish accent, especially as they beat Wales yesterday. So I'm just, it's the power of the Irish, power of the Lord in that. So Barb and Floyd, something for you over the last 12 months that has been a memorable moment.
Well, for me, the memorable moments actually too were the birth of our two youngest grandsons, Adam and Ezra, who are both now just one, and they have brought such delight to our family. They're very happy, kind of go-lucky guys, and they have lifted us all when we kind of are a little on the oppression side. You just have this onslaught of the 5 grandchildren into our lives, and the atmosphere changes.
That's been an amazing thing with kids in that they don't really care about what's going on beyond right now, hey?
That's right.
And what part of the city are you guys in?
We're in Silver Springs, Northwest.
Represent, nice. And for you, Floyd, anything to add to that at the moment?
Yes, we were at our farm at Halloween, and Joyce wrote an interesting blog about the Reese family. Instead of just handing out candies, they set up a barbecue and invite some dwell time with the folks that come around. And she went on to express how it's a bridge for relationship, for them having an opportunity to meet folks that walk in the kingdom. So as we were up there, we thought, well, we need to try this. We've had a heart to reach out to our neighbors. With COVID and people being miles apart, you never know who's going to show up. But we decided, Barb put on a big pot of hot chocolate, and we got some paper cups and lids. And our last group, our new neighbors, as of August 15th, the mom drove in with her 3 kids, 2 school age, 1 preschool, and we offered them hot chocolate, and they jumped at it. It was a cool night, but 3 of them sat on a bench, and Mom and Barb and I stood around. We had lots of time together to talk and find out a little bit about their lives in a new community. And it was a wonderful bridge. And when they left, the mom said to Barb and I, "You're the cutest couple." So
it's official.
Yeah. As an ancient Bambino Padre, I had never considered myself a cute, but I was musing on this afterwards. And I think if someone stumbled into the presence of Aslan the Lion King and thought he was cute, that would be okay. They'd probably take another step closer. So it was good.
Right. And I remember Halloween this year was on a Sunday. And one of the reasons that we started thinking of doing a hot dog thing was it was on a work night, on a school night. And so parents are a bit frazzled. And that's what we found, is that parents haven't had time to eat supper. So they can grab a hot dog as they're going around, and that creates this other space. Then they'll come back for another one. And then we found out our neighbors start doing hot chocolate, but then they do adult hot chocolate, which is an addition of Bailey's. So we're catching it between our little neighborhoods. So it'll be interesting to see if others around you will jump into kind of hosting the community. So Derek, for you, what was something over the last 12 months or so?
I'm fairly new to Epic here, just for like the last 6 months. And actually the most memorable thing was the first time I met everybody. I think it was at Riley Park, and I was invited by my good friend Nicole. And so kind of grabbed some sandwiches and walked there and see this kind of group sitting in the shade of a tree and just walked up and started introducing ourselves to people. And I was just struck by kind of the community that had kind of existed there, and just to be so welcomed into it, and just have these like wonderful kind of multi-generational conversations with people. Like I remember chatting with you, Callum, about just how difficult it is to be like an artist in the world, and that balance between creativity and having to make a living, and how do you make that all work out, and having a conversation with Barb and meeting them. And then so this multi-generational thing, and then we finished it out with like a cricket match with all the kids, and like it was awesome. It was hilarious. And I was like, this is like a family that I could kind of be a part of. So yeah, that's definitely the thing that sticks out to me. So
And again, I kind of forgotten about the cricket match, but indeed that is certainly a memorable moment for me. But it's
might have to be an annual thing now. So.
I think there's a few of us, Andy, who could set up the stumps, and away we go. But it's I think as well, it's realizing that we have still been growing as a church throughout the last 2 years with our online experience together, which is kind of, we're like, what's going on? So it must be something to do, as you just talked about, Floyd, about the cuteness of God. It's something that there's an attractiveness about life that's happening between us that is translating somehow through the green dot and through the screen. And that can only be really the presence of God, I think, who is inviting continually. And as we're able to make space in how we're able to do that, that people can feel invited. So if you're looking on this morning, or whenever you're looking at this and you're thinking, these guys all know each other really well, how do I break in? I think, Derek, you've just given voice to that experience of, we some of us know each other, a lot of us don't know each other, and there's a lot more of getting to know each other that is going to be going on. So come on the journey with that. So a memorable moment, perhaps online, we'll transition to that. So Barb and Floyd, I'll start with you this time.
Go ahead.
Well, mine comes from a teaching 2 weeks ago. And the word, I've lost the context, but in Joyce's teaching, the word withholding popped out, and I haven't been able to shake it. And there were two immediate impressions. One was, as we are called to seek the kingdom, it's to be our sole focus. There's nothing worth more. And yet I realized, yeah, there are some areas that I'm still reserving for myself. And so there was a call to address that. But the other thing that immediately came to mind was maybe the flip side of withholding is abandonment. And I had a coworker, a colleague for 30 years, and he's a follower, and above his desk he had some prose, which sort of went like this. He viewed life as a downhill mountain bike ride in which you take risks at every turn, you're pounding over the jumps, you're wrecking yourself on hitting things on the edge, and to arrive at the bottom where the bike is totally trashed and you've consumed every ounce of energy in your body, and you end up smiling and saying, I gave it my all. And that's another wonderful half of that invitation. So since then, I won't go further, but I've had 3 significant pushes as to what the significance of withdrawal has been in my life. And I think I'm about poised for some interior renovation to happen. So I welcome where it goes next.
And I love that aspect, Floyd, of something that you took in from the online experience, but it was then you took that to the Lord. And so it encouraged you and gave you perhaps a framework with which to engage with the Lord in that way that you might not have thought about had you not had that experience. Yeah. So, and for you, Barb, is there something else that comes to mind through the online world?
Yes, definitely. We have just yearned for a place to identify with in our hearts, with a gathering and with the Lord, and we've just loved being a part of the Dirksen community group, and for worship, for just getting to know each other, to study, to pray. And my epiphany word this year is play. And I thought, interesting. as a grandma, but I think it's way bigger than that. And there's a John Wimber quote that talks about play. Our gathering, Epic Gathering, is a place where everybody gets to play their part. And I just thought that's really significant, that play in this way is intentional. It's has to be very creative because it's online, but it's beautiful, and I would hope we will have more and more fun with it.
And I love how you included play their part at the end there, because if I had the inclination to lead us all in song, it's probably not going to be that helpful. I can give some good rhythm, but my singing probably won't be, it's unto the Lord for sure, but it may not be creating a space for others to worship. So this aspect of playing our part, many of us do many things well. And so the more we can bring those to the party, the better we all are for it, for sure, yeah. So Hilary, something from you in the online green dot world.
I didn't have a specific moment, but for me, again, as a newcomer to the church, I've got to know people so much deeper than you would in a normal church just on Sunday after worship and community groups. All fabulous, but online you get to pick the names and the faces together. But yeah, some of the conversations online have actually been more special than a conversation you might have just all gathered together in a room somewhere. So for me, that's been the best thing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think it gives us license as well, because we can control our space a bit. You know, at any point you could just hit the button and you're gone. You haven't got to make physical excuses to get out the room. Yeah, oh no, sorry, I'm buffering. Should the need arise. And so Derek, for you.
For me, well, I gotta be honest, I struggle with the online aspect. I am definitely an in-person thing, and I like engaging with people one-on-one and just getting that real sense. But there are some kind of cool moments that have happened online too. I think some of my favorite moments have been when different families are doing communion, and you sort of get to see kind of the chaos sometimes that erupts during these communion sessions, and the kids and the dogs and everything kind of going on, and it gives a real like human aspect as opposed to just this liturgical kind of sanctimonious thing. It makes it feel like a family, and so hopefully that can like somehow transition back into in-person at some point or whatever too. But that's a big highlight for me, so.
Oh, that's awesome. And what part of the city are you in? I don't think we
Yeah, I'm in the southwest in Aspen, so we got all the corners covered here now.
Yeah, there you go. Big shout out from Eric over there. That's nice. And so as we go into perhaps being able to gather more, we've got the weekly rhythms happening here at the community center. We're able to have a bit more actual physical togetherness as we can step into that with COVID protocols and being safe with that. What are some of the things you might be looking forward to as a church community? Let's start with Hilary.
So mine kind of links to what I said before, because I think some of the online things people might find a bit intense. So one of the things that's been on my mind recently, and I'm going to say mundane, but you could say general, God is in the mundane of our lives as well as in the sanctified. So I think when we're back together in person, there will be a lot more just general, less intense conversations maybe. But God's in those. God is in those just as much as he's in the, like you've got 15 minutes and you're going to talk to these 3 people, which I love, because if I'm in a room of people and I'm thinking, I don't know which person to go and talk to. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to all being together. I know a bunch of people, like Derek just said, don't like the online. So I'm looking forward to meeting people in Epic that I haven't met online. That's going to be exciting. And I guess like last week, even in ministry after church, I really connected with somebody, funnily enough, over a sunrise. And if we'd have been in person, we could have had a hug to see all that connection. So that sort of thing is going to be something to look forward to. And just settling into the Tuxedo area, like I say, meeting people I haven't met at Epic, but meeting people outside the church in Tuxedo area. All those good things. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, thank you. Barb and Floyd, we'll jump into you.
Quick one for me. I will be absolutely delighted when we have opportunity to worship together in the presence of one another.
Yeah,
And
it's amazing
I,
the space that we don't experience that, and we haven't had that, and we had a little experience. I invited a few folk just to kind of feel out what does that potentially feel like here in this space, and it was first time for 2 years that I'd been in a room with others doing that. So yeah, sorry, Barb, cutting you off there. Over to you.
okay. I've been thinking as we're kind of moving out, opening our doors and literally kind of expanding our worlds, I just have a sense God wants to be known more. He's always kind of pursued us and is pursuing to this day. But I just have a sense we need to have less me focus because of the pandemic and more of his focus. Just really lots of worship and prayer. He's so good.
Yeah, to focus on the Lord rather than focusing that which seeks to steal our life, I think for sure is something I'm really looking forward to doing that together. And so Derek, as I've asked you again to well, not again, asked you to bring a song for this morning, perhaps in response to what you've been feeling this morning, and even as you've been preparing for it. But before you do that, just a big thank you to all of you for joining me again. Again, stay on the call if you're able to, because we'll do a big Brady Bunch wave at the end. And apologies for me not keeping on top of times, so we're running a bit over. But I'm very thankful for the journey with you all this morning. So Derek, we'll hand it over to you, and you can perhaps transition with what you're looking forward to, and then lead us into this song. And then following Derek, we're going to go into our communion, which is led by the Stovels this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with Bob and Carly as well. I really look forward to doing more time of worship with people. And what Barb just said was taking that focus away from me and focusing it on God. And that's actually a perfect introduction to the song I'm going to be doing, which is called Not to Us, but to Your Name Be the Glory. And yeah, I think, yeah, it's a perfect transition. So why wait?
There you go. We'll take it away, and we'll have communion after you, and then I'll jump back on after that.
The cross before me, the world behind, no turning back, raise the banner high. It's not for me, it's all for you. Let the heavens shake and split the sky, let the people clap their hands and cry. It's not for us, it's all for you. Not to us, but to your name be the glory. Not to us, but to your name be the glory. Our hearts unfold before your throne, the only place for those who know it's not for us, it's all for you. Send your holy fire on this offering, let our worship burn for the world to see. It's not for us, it's all for you. Not to us, but to your name be the glory. Not to us, but to your name be the glory. The earth is shaking, mountains shouting, it's all for you. Waves are crashing, the sun is raging, it's it's all for you. Universe spinning and singing, it's all for you. Your children dancing, 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 it's all for you. It's all for you. Oh, not to us, to your name be the glory. Not to us, to your name be the glory. Oh, not to us, to your name be the glory. Not to us, to your name be the glory. Not to us. Amen.
Hi, Epic Vineyard.
Hi.
We are here to do communion. I'm Beth Stovell.
I'm John Stovell, of course.
And we're going to give you guys a little bit to go and get whatever elements you use. Today we're using apple grape juice because that's what we had, and some very yummy gluten-free crackers because that's all I can eat. So use whatever you can. Obviously, sometimes we use bread and grape juice or wine, but other people, I have a friend who even used rice and Coca-Cola where they were. So whatever elements you have to hand, you can go ahead and get those. I've been thinking a lot about communion, and one of the things I've been thinking about is the idea of how communion is about the community being united. And so there's a part of it where it's about how are we joined with each other even when we're not physically present with each other. And during this time, I know that we've felt that distance sometime, but we also get these beautiful glimpses of what it looks like to be united. Recently, I got to go and spend time with Epic Youth for a skating party, and there were other parents there, and it was just such a gift to get to be in person, to see people again, to be united in that way. But one of the beautiful things about communion is that we are united across history with the church, with this history of this practice, this wine, or whatever we use for it, this bread, broken by Jesus, given to his disciples, that we continue to enact over thousands and thousands of years. And so not just the Epic community as a community, but community with all of the Christian church across all of history. But the other thing about communion is that it's also a communion with Christ. We're connected with Jesus. And lately, John and I both have had a tough 2 weeks, been sick on and off, thankfully not COVID, but it hasn't been more pleasant. And that experience of walking through sickness, walking through a certain degree of suffering, and really feeling our weakness has made me think a lot about joining Christ in his sufferings, and how in communion we remember Christ on the cross. We remember what he went through. We remember we have a Savior who is with us when we struggle, but we're also with each other, not just with me and my husband, who I love, but also with the community of believers, with Christians and Christians throughout history, as we all connect to Christ, both in his death and in his suffering, and in the hope of resurrection. And so we have that hope of the kingdom that breaks in our spaces of struggle, in our spaces of difficulty. We can have a hope even in the face of those struggles, even in the face of that weakness, that God will provide. And that's actually what I experienced this week. I had a day where I was teaching and really exhausted, and God came, and the Holy Spirit met us, all of us, me and my students, and I was reminded that we do all things through the Spirit, through Christ with us. And so in memory of Christ and in communion with Christ and with all believers, we do communion.
So in Vineyard, at Epic Vineyard here, we often use in tincture, which is sort of dipping, which works well if you got bread. It doesn't work as well for crackers, we find, so you won't see us do that today. But very often the way we do it at Epic is as we hand the elements to another person, we'll say, the body of Christ broken for you, and then the blood of Christ shed for you. And the traditional response is,
thanks be to God.
So, the body of Christ broken for you, Beth. The blood of Christ shed for you.
Thanks be to God.
Just while you're doing that, I just want to say that I really appreciated what you brought up there, Beth, about the suffering and the hope elements that are involved in this. I mean, in many ways, even as we think about what Jesus himself said and did on the night he was betrayed, when he did this, he's, on the one hand, told us to do this in remembrance of him, and as Paul puts it later on, to remember his death until he comes. And because, as Jesus said, "For I will not eat and drink of this again until I eat it with you new in the kingdom of heaven," when he returns to earth. And so see there, both we're remembering his suffering, but also that looking forward in hope. And so that's always built into what this meal is for us. So,
Body of Christ broken for you, blood of Christ shed for you.
Thanks be to God.
It's okay. Blessings to you, Epic community, this week. May God go with you. May the Spirit be present in your lives.
Oh, thank you, Team Stovell. And I chose a bit of Broadway music just to, that was what I was thinking of going on there with your love of theatre. Just such a rich morning. Apologies again that I've run way past, but it's been a very rich morning. And before I do a quick Brady Bunch wave here with everyone, I wanted to draw attention to a couple of things here before let's just jump into the notices here. I'll do those quickly and then go into the other bit. So our weekly rhythms have started here at the Hub, as we're now referring to it. It seems to be sticking, as Andy said there. And I'm looking forward perhaps even to the communion times where we can bring all of those favorite foods. So liverwurst and popcorn and be feasting together as and when that's appropriate. So our weekly rhythms have started here. Tuesday lunch, 12:30 to 1:30. Wednesday, what happens Wednesday? That's 4 till 5, I think, coffee. Thursday, I think, is 10:30 coffee. And then Fast Friday, which is now an option to pray here at Person at the Hub on this very couch if you wanted to. Or you can still join online. We're figuring out how to do that as well. This coming Friday, the 11th, is youth, our Epic Youth, but that will be online. So it will be via the green dot. And then we have our Reach conference for, I believe it's now anyone under 40, I think, is the cap. Someone's going to throw that up on the chat wall here. In fact, I'll see if anyone's insulted me right now. But that will be 20s and 30s. Fast Friday, okay. Oh, you're catching up. That's pretty good. So please sign up for that. So that's going to be online conference. Another thing that we'll bring your attention to as a church community, beginning March the 2nd and continuing throughout Lent, we'll be utilizing this book. Let's see if I can get my screen so I can actually be showing you the right thing. Backyard Pilgrim by Matt Canlis, a guided Lenten practice, paying particular attention to our new geographical home here at Tuxedo Park. And so we'll be doing some walking groups and walking through this book again. There's the movie Godspeed, which will kick us all off, and we'll figure out to do that. And if I can invite everyone that was involved this morning to give us to come online, if you've still been able to sit there. Hey, Eric in the house. And we'll see if we can get us all going on there. But you can see Eric in two places now. Oh, look at that. Oh, you come over here. You can do that. I'll scoot over. Most excellent. Here we all are. And perhaps with all of our faces on there. This is from the First Nations version translation of the Bible, which I'll be giving back to the Humphreys. So Dawn, it's coming home now. You've witnessed it. If he forgets it, that's up to him. I brought it here for him. and just leave us again out of Romans. And I'll speak this, and then all of us can pray this over you as we go here. Ministry group still happening, a bit later than advertised, but blame that on me. One thing I know for sure, this is from Romans 8, and this is verse 38. One thing I know for sure, nothing can separate us from Creator's love, not death or life, not spirit messengers or dark spirit rulers, nothing from the spirit world above or on the earth below, nothing today or in the days to come. Not one thing in all creation can separate us from his great love, a love that is ours in the chosen one. Creator sets free our honored chief, Jesus. So you are much loved. Be of good cheer. Thank you again for enabling me to rattle on with more words than were perhaps needed this morning. But we're here together. Thank you one and all. And we'll see you in ministry time now. Eric, you can go over there and stop the call. And we'll jump in. Everyone give us a wave. And we'll see you again next time on the green dot, but hopefully in person.